Hey everyone, welcome to TPUSA Live. I'm John Root, sitting next to this big man. What's going on, MAGA Hulk Stephen Davis?
I'm loving life. You know how it goes. I love life, and I love being here.
That's what I'm talking about. Happy Wednesday. You know how we kick it off. We got Human Events Daily with Jack Posobiec. He's going to be covering a little bit of Ukraine. So I guess they miraculously survived February 16th. So there's been a lot of talk about, will Putin invade? And obviously there's been a little wishy-washy responses from people like Press Secretary Jen Psaki. But it's interesting to see what's going on there.
To be expected, huh? Miss Circle Back?
Circle back, let's see. And then also to Project Veritas had another bombshell story talking about the FDA and how they go about their process of approving vaccines, everything. So Jack could break that down and so much more, including Alec Baldwin's victim's family is releasing a recreation of the shooting. I know I watched that a little bit this morning. It's like a 3D recreation of the whole scene, what that looked like. And hopefully justice is served with the situation.
Indeed, absolutely. Yeah. That whole situation is egregious, so I hope justice is served indeed.
Yeah. Heart goes out to that whole family, and hopefully everything gets figured out there right after sitting on the couch with this guy. We also got Alex Clark is going to be there, and brand new TPUSA contributor, Drew Hernandez. Let's go. If you have not seen that on our social media at all, make sure to retweet that, like it, comment. Make sure that Drew feels very welcome to be a part of the TPUSA family. He's going to break down his show, Frontlines, everything he's going to be doing with us. We are so happy to have someone that basically was a huge part of that Kyle Rittenhouse case to make sure that the true story was told. He's an investigative journalist that got to the bottom of a lot of BLM rioting and a lot of the racial division we've had in our country. He does an incredible job.
I mean, I work with the man, but I still fangirl over him. You know, he's a fantastic individual. Goodness gracious. Love you, Drew.
And also, too, we're going to talk a little censorship. I know some of you might be following, or were following, Defiant L's on Twitter. They got deplatformed because they have the receipts of people like Prime Minister Trudeau and other politicians that said something years ago or maybe months ago and then changed their tune a little bit.
It's been happening a little bit lately, safe to say, a lot.
And it's interesting, too, because I know Truth Social, Trump's social media platform, along with his whole social media company and media company, they're going to be launching soon. We said that in a previous show. So that's another place that's combating this censorship that we're dealing with, and we just want free speech. So it's going to be a great conversation. Also, what in the world Wednesday?
Oh, my favorite.
It's a bummer that Joe Bob's not here.
I know. This is his favorite segment.
But I know Joe Bob's out in Chicago. I know they're doing a no force mask rally and speech. Charlie Kirk's out there. It's a great new initiative. We're going to break that down as well. Right after that, you're going to get to see from TPUSA Productions their mini documentary called Dear Socialism. Socialism sucks. We talk about that quite a bit here, and Isabel Brown gets to the bottom of it because everyone tries to say we haven't really tried socialism here. There's a few little things that we could implement, and she makes so many great points about, well, if socialism's so good and places that don't implement that, wouldn't they kind of be in ruins? Wouldn't there just be such a dire situation that you'd have to implement it? Yeah. She does a great job breaking that down.
Well, remember, it's not socialism, it's democratic socialism. Always a big difference.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but this is not like the new iPhone coming out. This is not just some update in your iOS that we'd need.
Right.
It's a great little mini documentary. TPUSA Productions did a great job, so make sure you check that out. And then right after, you're going to get a brand new episode of POPlitics with the always entertaining Alex Clark. So get this. Obviously, there's the Kim and the Kanye drama all the time.
Right.
Do you follow it that much? No. Do I follow it that much? No. But Alex Clark has always got the news for you there because it's dramatic, it's blown out of proportion, and I guess Julia Fox and Kanye are parting ways.
You don't say.
Wow.
Word.
Wow, I'm so devastated.
I'm hurt. I'm crying inside, as a matter of fact.
But she'll break that down. Also, she says, "Don't Canada, my America," breaking down what's going on up there. And for me, I'm actually wearing a Canadian tuxedo today. On behalf of the Canadian truckers.
You were looking dapper.
Appreciate that.
And I know they appreciate your efforts here.
I appreciate that very much. Also, the Oscars have set a very low bar. Alex Clark's going to give her take about the brand new hosts for the Oscars. Not much of a fan. Also, there's not going to be a lot of people watching anyways.
Exactly.
So just watch TPUSA Live. Don't watch the Oscars or the other woke award shows. They're trash.
Exactly.
Coming up next, something that's not trash, Human Events Daily with Jack Posobiec. Steven and I, we'll see you soon.
What if I told you that this has all happened before? The riots, violence, church burning, attacks on police, destruction of private property.
My name is Sammy Steigman. I am a Holocaust survivor.
This is the reality of what happens when you have capitalism that goes to socialism.
El socialismo no funciona. El socialismo no funciona.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily. Ladies and gentlemen, thank God, because I am here to say to you now, once and for all, that Ukraine has miraculously, yes, it's true, miraculously survived February 16th. Russia apparently forgot to invade. We'll break it down next. An FDA officer reveals vaccine plans on Project Veritas tape. Third, the Ottawa police chief has abruptly resigned, and a new poll has come out saying that American voters overwhelmingly support the truckers. And finally, very disturbing story, but Alec Baldwin's victim's family has released a recreation of the Alec Baldwin shooting along with a new lawsuit of the actor. All this and more ahead, Human Events Daily. Wednesday morning, February 16th, year of our Lord 2022, we were told by the intelligence community, by the Biden administration, by CNN, that today we were going to see a massive invasion of Ukraine. We were told that the tanks would be rolling across the border, that Kiev would fall within 24 to 48 hours. We were told that aerial bombardments were going to be coming on strategic infrastructure. The aerial bombardment of Kiev was to take place, but somehow, by some miracle, by an angel of God, perhaps the Archangel Michael himself, has come down to spare Ukraine and allow them to miraculously survive February 16th. In fact, even President Zelensky had declared today, February 16th, to be a day of national unity in Ukraine. But I would like to show you some images that we've received from Kharkiv, which is the largest city on the Ukrainian border with Russia. These are disturbing images. They are not for small eyes. So if you have children or childish adults in the room, please avert your gaze, pause, ask them to leave before you watch this. Take a look.
Give it to you.
I know that's hard to look at. People freely sliding around on ice with metal blades attached to their feet while popular music is playing over some sort of loudspeaker system. It's hard to understand, sitting as we are thousands of miles away from Ukraine, the gravity of these images, and to be able to put them in proper context of the historiography of Ukraine, the region, Eastern Europe, the former Kievan Rus Republic. We really need to understand the deep, deep context of what's going on here. All right. Seriously. This entire thing has been going on since December. I actually looked it up. President Biden has been saying since December that an invasion is imminent. How long is this going to go on? How long are we going to be told about this? And now look, I've said before, all right, and I think we see what's going on here. They want concessions. They want a deal. They probably want diplomatic recognition of Crimea and the breakaway Eastern republics. We've said it so many times that I'm starting to get blue in the face talking about this stuff. The people who told you that there was going to be a massive aerial bombardment of Kiev today, right? It's kind of like predicting that the economy is going to crash, right? So if you predict the economy is going to crash and you're right, you get all the accolades. They say, boom, that guy was right. That was right on the money. This is the person. Go to him for all your stock tips. That's the guy that everybody needs to pay attention to. Give him all of the money. But if you're wrong, nobody cares. If you're wrong, then you come up with some explanation. Oh, we were saved at the last minute. I remember when I was little, and they had this thing called Weekly World News. Do you guys remember Weekly World News? Anybody out there remember this? It was like that little, supermarket checkout line, and they had like Bat Boy and all this crazy stuff. When they predicted, I remember it was back in the 90s, that the world was going to end on a specific date. I don't remember the exact date. Let's say it was May 15th. May 15th, 1995. The world is going to end on this specific date. Whoa, pretty specific, pretty big bombshell. What are you going to do? And so the world obviously didn't end on May 15th, 1995. And so I remember thinking, well, how are they going to update this now because the world clearly hasn't ended? What are we going to do? And it was a stroke of beauty. They said, we were saved at the last minute. The world was saved at the last minute by Bat Boy. Bat Boy was able to come in, save the world, save all of us. And thank God for Bat Boy's heroic sacrifice. He is a true hero. Mark my words, President Biden very soon is going to come out and, like Bat Boy, claim credit for saving the world from Russia and COVID and the truckers and QAnon and everything else out there that he's claimed is some kind of insane threat. These people are lying to you. Stop trusting them. Never go back to them again. They're making it up. When you stare into the abyss stares back at you.
If they can get every person required at an annual vaccine, that is a recurring return of money going into their company. You don't have to get an annual shot. I mean, it hasn't been formally announced yet because they don't want to rile everyone up.
Why do they need the third one?
Well, the same reason that you or I would need the third one, because the vaccine, it wanes. Mm-hmm. Your ability to fight it wanes. So the 3 will bolster your system. And then there will be an annual, eventually an annual, just like the flu shot.
For the toddlers?
Well, for everyone.
Now, what you've just heard is the voice of an FDA executive officer. His name is Christopher Cole. He works in the Countermeasures Initiative. This audio was leaked by the great James O'Keefe and the people at Project Veritas. And I want to cue you in to a specific line that was stated there. There's a money incentive for Pfizer and the drug companies to promote additional vaccinations. It will be a recurring fountain of revenue. It may not be much initially, but it'll be recurring. And if they can get every person required at an annual vaccine, that is a recurring return of money going into their company. Now, you're not hearing somebody from the sales arm of Pfizer on this. This isn't somebody who's getting a commission, right, off of the amount of vaccinations that they're able to sell, right, to the government. No. You're hearing somebody who's on the government side, who's on the FDA side, the approval agency, the regulatory approval agency, who's overseeing this process. And he's outlining how important it is. This is disturbing stuff, but what's really interesting to me is this is how everyone's always explained how the process works. That instead of having this government agency, right, So if you're someone who's, just this believer in, the altruism of government bureaucrats and government officials, if you believe in the system, if you're someone who's just, straight up blue-pilled, you don't even have any clue what's going on, you just say, man, thinking is hard, let's just trust the government. We ought to pay attention to, but they don't say the government anymore, they say public health officials, public health guidance, right? They never say government bureaucrats, people who know no one elected, people who were chosen by some committee in some back room somewhere, have no accountability whatsoever to the people. But then you come across that as a skeptic and you say, well, hold on, it seems like there's a financial incentive here. And if these companies are able to get this extended out, like for children, for example, which is what they're talking about in the clip, then that's millions and millions of more potential customers, right? And then if you can get it mandated, oh man, that's a great business. I would love, by the way, to be in the business where every single person, right? Remember when Apple put, years ago, iTunes pushed that YouTube album to everyone's iTunes account. So everyone's, I think it was iPods at the time. I didn't even think it was iPhones yet. And so everybody got it downloaded automatically. Man, I would love to be in that business, that if every single person that had Apple phone or, who had Spotify or whatever you're listening to the podcast on, all was required to download Human Events Daily. It was mandatory. Be a great business to be in. Now, how would I get there? Oh, well, I might have to go and then pay off the FCC or the tech regulators, someone involved in that process. We'd find the right person. We here at Human Events Daily will always be able to find the right person. Oh, believe me, we are. And so you make them then mandate it, and then you go to them and say, hey, we'll give you a kickback. What do you say? Well, you say, look, you're at the FDA now, or you're at the FCC now, right? Speaking hypothetically, of course. You're at the FCC now, but you don't want to be there forever. I mean, you're just going in and shine the pot a little bit. That's what they call it, shining the pot. So you come from industry, you go into government, you become the regulator for a little while, you just pass whatever the top corporations in the industry want, and then, and this is key, then you go back into industry. That's where you get your payday. That's how this works. You go in, you do their bidding, and then you come out, and then you get paid, all right? So they can't ever say there's any corruption, they can't ever say there's any bribery, they can't even say there's anything else, right? There's no oligarchs involved here, right? Totally above board. You come from it. By the way, this is how you know that Dr. Fauci is actually not that smart, because he's still at the NIH after all these years. Had he gone back to industry, he could have been making millions and millions of dollars before all of this. But instead, like a lunkhead, he sat there at the NIH this entire time without realizing that if you want to get paid, you go back to industry. But I don't think anyone's ever accused Dr. Fauci of being entirely that smart. He is your typical quintessential textbook classic midwit, a guy who's right in the middle of the bell curve, who does what he's told, who doesn't ask a lot of questions, and doesn't even realize that he's doing the bidding of people who are much smarter and much, much more well-paid than he is. But when it comes down to it, folks, it's simple. You got to support Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, and the great people over there. Why? Because James O'Keefe and Project Veritas do the one thing that you're not supposed to be allowed to do under this regime: change the narrative. They change the narrative every time they drop one of these things, and they force those in power to have to respond to them. And that is what we're in, ladies and gentlemen. This is narrative trench warfare. Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow, has come out and said that he is going to be sending 10,000 pillows in trucks that he is deploying from Minnesota up to Ottawa. He's putting them up, supporting our boys in the North that are fighting for freedom. He's even going to be sending the Bible pillows up for the kids that are there, because he wants to make sure that they get a good night's sleep as well. How can you not like this guy? How can you not support this guy? First, he stands with Kyle Rittenhouse all the way through when no other conservative leader was doing it. He put his money where his mouth is. So that's why I say go to mypillow.com, use promo code POSO, mypillow.com/POSO. You get all the deals. Go and support him, because you know your money is going to a good cause. And by the way, you get some great products while you're at it. This story, speaking of Ottawa, we've got to get into this. Police Chief Peter Stolley of Ottawa has suddenly and abruptly resigned as Prime Minister Trudeau's crackdown on the freedom protesters, the truckers, the freedom convoy has begun. You remember Peter Stolley? He's the guy who just last week was coming out and talking about the convoy.
We have increased ability to identify and target protesters and supporters of protesters who are funding and enabling unlawful and harmful activity by the protesters themselves. Investigative evidence gathering teams are collecting financial, digital, vehicle registration, driver identification, insurance status, and other related evidence that will be used in prosecutions. Every unlawful act, including traffic and insurance violations, will be fully pursued, regardless of the origin, at any time in the future. The primary focus of each of these measures will be on the unlawful behavior connected to the ongoing demonstrations. This includes parallel and counter demonstrations.
So why did he resign, right? He said he was roundly criticized, and this is out of CBC, which is Canada's state-controlled media outlet. Stolley was roundly criticized over Ottawa's police service's response to the protest. Peter Stolley has resigned as Ottawa's police chief and will got to do the announcer voice. Will publicly announce his resignation after the Ottawa Police Service's board meeting, sources tell CBC News. The former chief had been criticized over handling of a truck convoy protest that has caused major disruptions in Ottawa's downtown core. In his resignation letter, Stolley said that he was proud of his ability to overhaul the force's culture to better reflect the diversity of the community we serve. He also said that he was leaving the force confident that it can handle the protest. Yes, those violent, crazy protests where those Canadians are drinking Molson and setting up hot tubs in the middle of the street. Absolute chaos and anarchy. We can't let it happen. By the way, I keep telling people this. If there were an actual incident of violence, there's cameras all over these protests. There have been people live streaming it for weeks now. If there was an incident of violence, it would have been caught on camera by now, and it would go viral around the world. If you're living on social media, if you're looking at this, if you're paying attention to this story, specifically Ottawa, they're going after the other blockades of the borders, by the way. They've already reopened the bridge. We would all know. We know this is a lie. They took this guy down. Why? Because the Trudeau crackdown is going full Fidel, full Castro Jr., and they want to get this guy out of the way because he didn't crack down on the protesters to begin with. That's why they're getting rid of him. He's sacked, he's purged, he's gone. Meanwhile, Rasmussen reports, boom, 59% of US voters support Canadian truckers in Freedom Convoy protest. 59%, including 42% who strongly support the Freedom Convoy. Only 33% oppose. By the way, that's probably the same 33%. You notice that's roughly analogous with President Biden's job approval right now, right? So 33% oppose the Freedom Convoy, right? You oppose freedom. I almost said that. 33% oppose freedom, probably the same 33% that currently support President Biden and approve of his job and of his handling, which you can go. And there's other polls out there this week, too, that show that President Biden only has positive support in 4 out of 50 states. Understand that. 81 million votes. Remember, 81 million votes. Most votes of any man for President of the United States in history. And now here we are, less than halfway through his term. And he's down to 4 states. Alec Baldwin killed a woman. It's going on since October, right? It's all the way back to October that this happened. But it seems like that information seems to not be front and center anymore, right? Alec Baldwin shot and killed a woman. This wasn't like he was driving and they were in an accident. No. Pulled a gun from its holster, pointed at her, sent her mass, fired, striking her in the chest, killing her almost instantaneously, and then even hitting the director who was standing behind her. Now, there's a massive lawsuit that's come out from the victim's family over this, of course, but for some reason, law enforcement hasn't arrested Baldwin. He waited months to even turn over his phone on all this. But let's go to the victim's family's lawyer to actually get some of the facts that apparently the Santa Fe DAs just can't seem to uncover.
Prior to filing this lawsuit, we undertook an investigation. We interviewed witnesses that were at the scene. We interviewed witnesses who the days before could set the stage of what happened. We went to the scene. We assessed the scene with experts. We hired top experts. And we really dug into what we could. We were able to obtain documents from other lawsuits and conducted our investigation. And now we believe, as stated in the complaint, the allegations of the numerous violations of industry standards that occurred by Mr. Baldwin and others that were charged with safety on the set.
Didn't attend the training, didn't check if there were live rounds, pointed at somebody, pulled the trigger, and yes, he pulled the trigger. Guns don't magically just go off on their own. So that little crazy interview that he did on ABC with George Stephanopoulos was a lie. The guy lies for a living. He's an actor. But he is protected by the Blue Cathedral. Many people call it different things. Call it the Blue Cathedral, right? And he is one of their top enforcers. He's the guy who makes fun of Trump on Saturday Night Live. Of course, they're going to protect him. That's the only reason why anyone else in this situation would have been arrested. Now, is it murder? Is it murder? I've told you before, and I've heard Viva Fry from Canada, I've heard Tim Pool. A lot of people have stated that we know that Alec Baldwin, what's the one thing that we know about this guy? He snaps. He snaps when he's frustrated. And so a lot of people say, it's probably just manslaughter, it's an accident, they were on set. Well, hold on. Because we know that he's attacked paparazzi before. We know that he's assaulted people before. We know that he's gone after women. You heard what he did to his own daughter on that voicemail once. So is it so hard to imagine that Alec Baldwin, when he's being told again and again that he's doing something wrong, move the gun, move the gun, move the gun, move the gun, tilt it this way, tilt it this way, tilt it this way, draw it this way, draw it that way, after he hasn't even gone to the training. And then he says in that interview, remember, like this, like this, like this. Is it so hard to imagine that he didn't say, like this, and then pulls the trigger, thinking that the gun has a blank or isn't loaded, but it is loaded, and it killed someone. And we're all seeing what happens when you have a two-tiered system of justice, as we do under this regime. Here at Human Events Daily, our oath, our promise, our solemn vow to you is to be good, be brief, be gone. Your homework before you leave, remember, share this out with one of your normie friends. Let them know the amazing, miraculous news that Ukraine was able to survive February 16th. Somehow, possibly the Archangel Michael came down, saved Ukraine from aerial bombardment. Remember, that's what we were told by the media would happen today. Never came to pass. But before we go, it's time for today's history break. We've got a great one. Today, February 16th, all the way back in 1959, Fidel Castro Sr. took over as the new dictator of Cuba. Since then, Cubans have lived in communism. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have my permission to lay ashore.
All right, guys, you have signed up, right? You've joined freedomsquare.com. If you haven't, why not? This should have happened a decade ago. How did somebody not think of this earlier? If you're a business owner, we have a business directory to promote your business to patriots across the nation. So if you want to buy American, if you want to sell American, we have a business directory. Whatever it is, go now.
Join us in the fight for freedom. Welcome to Freedom Square.
Well, that is it for me here. So ends today's transmission of Human Events Daily in the regime-occupied National Capital Region. We now turn it over to the free state of Arizona as Turning Point Live continues with The Couch. Take it away, John.
What's up, Jack? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Turning Point USA HQ in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm your host, John Root. Here's what we're covering today. First, we launched a brand new website for you to combat unconstitutional mask mandates and more in the daily briefing. Next, details on how inflation is hurting everyday Americans. Then, news that a prominent conservative Twitter account was deplatformed and how our guests and I have been affected by censorship. Finally, a brand new installment of What in the World Wednesday, followed by an exclusive chat with our newest TPUSA contributor, Drew Hernandez, in one last thing. All right, let's get this thing going. TPUSA Live from HQ starts now.
Authentic, unfiltered, grassroots content and conversation every weekday. Live from Phoenix, Arizona at the Turning Point USA headquarters, this is TPUSA Live.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. Once again, we're at TPUSA HQ. Alex Clark, I love the pink fit.
Thank you. I'm still celebrating Valentine's Day, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. It's not Valentine's Day, it's Valentine's week.
It is Valentine's week. Yes. Thank you.
What's going on up here? You got some...
Thank you. Some little bumblebees on my headband. This is actually a pro-life headband from a pro-life boutique, and all proceeds go to pro-life causes. It's called Culture of Life. 1972.
Well, as long as they don't sting, I'm allergic, I think you're good.
There you go.
We also got MAGA host Stephen Davis. Can barely see your pants there.
Wow.
Exactly.
The camo.
I am blending in with my surroundings, if you don't mind.
It's a fresh fit, though. I will give you that. Looks good. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the other person we have on the couch here, brand new TPUSA contributor, Drew Hernandez. Welcome.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'm excited to expose every single one of you. Be on your best behavior. I'm totally kidding.
It's an inside job.
Well,
I knew it.
The investigative journalist found his way inside the house. My goodness. So this could be my last show.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for Drew's show.
For real.
It's going to be great. Talk about what it's called and when people can start watching it and where.
Yeah, so we launched next Tuesday on the 22nd. Wow. It's called Frontlines, and it's going to involve, obviously, going over the daily news briefings, but incorporating a lot of Frontlines journalists across not only the nation, but across the world. And we'll get into that.
I don't want you to give too much right now.
We'll get
I know that's going to be our one last thing, and that is a reason to stick around. Don't worry.
I didn't know. I got excited.
But that's a good teaser. Look, if you're not on the edge of your seat right now, you're not.
Right?
human.
Okay, good. We have something to look forward to.
It's going to be great. But first, we launched a brand new website. You can go to tpusa.com/mass. It is the No Force Mass website. So I know Charlie's out in Chicago right now, and then we're wondering, where's Joe Bob? It's What in the World Wednesday. He's out in Chicago as well. So it's a great website to make sure you can get activism kits, get all the resources and tools to fight back against these unconstitutional mask mandates. But things that are included in those activism kits, you got posters, buttons, stickers, and plenty of other materials. It's going to be great. And then also Charlie's live streaming tonight as well. Got to make sure you tune in for that.
Yeah. Protesting, man, it's definitely, it's an American culture. You know,
You've been around a few.
And I love seeing the students do it, man. You know what I mean? Like, we're seeing these high school students stage their walkouts and they're protesting the mask mandates, and it needs to happen. And here's why it's so important to continue with that, because when you see like the federal government push back on peaceful protests and try and silence peaceful protests, that only shows them for the authoritarian psychopaths they really are. So I encourage young people to continue with that peacefully as much as possible, and I praise them, the high school students that are doing this stuff, because it takes a lot.
Yeah, it's sweeping the nation right now. It's fun to see. I know POPlitics has shared quite a bit. We've shared on our own personal accounts as well, and these kids do. It takes such a courageous stand, because I mean they're losing friendships, and it's difficult for relationships with faculty and staff. But a lot of them are doing it in this way where it's like, we know our constitutional rights. We're not trying to do it in a way that's disrespectful. It's like, get sent to the gym, get sent home. They're gonna have to see, why is there so many kids absent right now? And they're making a huge difference, so it's great to see.
Yeah, I love it. I can't get enough of seeing these students. I mean, usually like in the military, they say Rangers lead the way, but in this situation, the students are leading the way. Leading the way for us parents, leading the way for us adults, leading the way for everybody to get on board with this idea that, look, what's going on is not okay, and they're going to take a stand for it. If kids can do it, if students can do it, why can't we? So let's do it.
Come on, you don't want high school students to be more courageous than you.
Huh.
What are you doing? Go to tpusa.com/mass. You get all the resources, tools, and everything you want to know about that. Say no to mass. Say yes to being a part of this. Another thing we want to show you, it's another courageous stand, is Novak Djokovic. He's one of the greatest tennis players of all time, came out and said, I'm basically willing to forego future titles and the ability to maybe be known as the greatest tennis player of all time because I don't want to get the jab. Check out this video.
Are you prepared to forego the chance to be the greatest player that ever picked up a racket, statistically, because you feel so strongly about this jab?
Yes.
I think that's what Colin Kaepernick thought he was.
Wow. Yes.
Yep.
That is so well said.
good.
This is actual courage. This is actual
Yes.
bravery. This is actually standing up against a tyrannical government. It's everything that Colin said he was that he wasn't.
Yeah, and then right now, too, it's like Djokovic, he's not making millions of dollars off of this stance, too. He's not race baiting people. He's not alienating people. Because he goes on to say, anybody that wants to get the jab, go for it.
He doesn't gain money from this, he loses money.
Exactly. And then he could lose titles and fame, everything like that. It's a massive, courageous stance. Right after this, we're talking about the economy in crisis, inflation, and more. See you in 90 seconds.
Good ranchers, straight from the American farm. 100% American meat, 100% of the time. Delivered straight to your door.
Wait, are those my Good Rancher steaks? I'll be taking these.
Claim your 10 free bistro fillets with your next order with promo code TPUSA Live at goodranchers.com.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. Maga Hulk, Stephen Davis, brand new TPUSA contributor Drew Hernandez, Alex Clark, celebrating Valentine's Week, and I'm John Root. We got to talk about this economy. It's obviously in a crisis right now. Inflation has hit a 40-year high. Got about 7.5% inflation rate we're going through right now. But I think what's effective when we have conversations like this, we can tell you all the stats, we can tell you everything, but when you hear true stories about what's going on with everyday Americans, I feel like that's when it really starts to affect people. So what's some of the things that have affected you so far? Because, I mean, you're going to the grocery store, Drew, and you're seeing shelves are empty, and not only are they empty, it's stuff that you want to buy. It's way more expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious by now. When you're taking a look at the grocery store, you're seeing the price of food go up, you're seeing the price of gas go up, and you see President Biden literally have press conferences just talking like it's normal, saying, I'm going to work like the devil to bring gas prices down. And it's like,
okay,
kind of like got us into this mess. So I'm kind of curious as to how you're going to get us out, because it doesn't seem like you wanted us to be successful. But I think I was looking at some polls, and the black community is kind of like really starting to turn its back on Biden, President Biden. And I think we're starting to see this because when you start to really destroy somebody's bank account, they're going to start pointing the finger at you, and you can't get away from that. You can only race bait so much, but once you start like plunging further into poverty, that's really going to cause some problems for a lot of
people. And if for some reason you're supporting the truckers too, they're gonna boot you too. I am wearing a Canadian tuxedo for the truckers, in case you were wondering, because I know there's probably some people thinking like, jeans with a jean jacket.
That's actually
what are you thinking? But what's your response to that, Stephen?
No, I 100% agree. I mean, it's been affecting me big time, especially when it comes to meats and things of that nature, chicken. Lord have mercy, brother loves his chicken, and brother can't get his chicken as often as you like it. but yeah, like you were just saying about the black community.
Don't get me in trouble.
I'm gonna try not to. No promises
How am I
right
supposed
now.
to? How are Alex and I supposed to react to that? Okay, I guess that's true.
It's okay, you got the force field right now.
I got a force field. Yes.
Right?
Still my Black History Month force
Happy
field
month,
right
by
now.
the way. I forgot to say that to you.
But yeah, the black community is turning their back on Biden because they are feeling the effects of the inflation. They're feeling the effects of not being, the money is not going as far as it used to. They're having to pay extra for gas, they're having to pay extra for foods and produce and normal commodities that have been very cheap for us, over the years. And now all of a sudden, due to their own vote, they have realized that things are not as they seem or not what they should be. So they're pissed off, and rightly so. So they're turning their back, and I love it.
Yeah.
More of it. We need it.
Yeah, I mean, what's been your response to this too? Because I mean, this is affecting absolutely everyone. It doesn't matter what age you're at, and I think also too when you had McConnell talk about how it's if you have not gotten a raise over the past year or so, you have basically taken a pay cut, and you've taken a pay cut for the government, and I thought that was spot on, a well way to put it.
That's good.
How has inflation affected me? How has it not affected me? Every single thing that I want to get at the grocery store is sold out every single week. I'm in the process of redoing my apartment. I want to get lamps. The first pair of lamps that I liked for my nightstands were not available till June. I picked another set. They were not available till July. Everything is 10 times more expensive. It costs me double the amount to fill up my gas tank. Every time I go to Chipotle or Chick-fil-A, they're out of something. They're out of bags or cups or straws or lids, like normal basic things that we take for granted every single day that we use in our everyday lives, you can't get or they're running out of or they're unavailable. So if you are still saying that your life is so much better under President Biden than under President Trump, you are a liar. You are a liar. It has affected me in every single possible way. Every single possible way. And the other thing is, even if you happen to work for a company that is doing, happens to be doing great, and maybe you were one of the few that did get a raise in the last year or anything like that, you have money to spend and you have nowhere to spend it because all of the products are out. We're girls. We want to buy makeup and clothes and stuff for our apartment or whatever, and we can't even do anything with this money. It's like worthless because there are no supplies. So the inflation is a problem. The supply chain issue is a problem, and my interior designer, who I'm actually going to be interviewing this week on my episode of The Spillover, Katie Bouchard, with the nonprofit Pen and Napkin, she sent me a reel yesterday of like this helicopter going out into the middle of the ocean to some like what is it, like an embargo ship or whatever. And she's like, look, here's our furniture, here's our couches. This is why we can't get them because they're stranded out in the middle of the ocean. I mean, but that's the real thing. Like I'm just trying to do something simple like buy a lamp, and I can't.
It reminds me real quick. It reminds me, my wife and I did go to Sonic the other day, and we pulled up to Sonic, and they on their menu, they have like a little side menu that tells you what they don't have.
Are you serious?
An 86 section.
It better not be the cherry limeade because that is my jam.
Was it the cherry limeade?
I've never been to Sonic.
What?
As I'm ordering, I'm like, hey, can we get some, some onion rings? Like, sorry, we don't have that. And I was like going down the
Sort
list.
of look at the left side of the menu, please.
So you're right.
See,
can't even go to Sonic and boy can't even get no onion rings.
Okay,
I'm just trying to get onion rings. Can a boy get onion rings?
For families that are struggling, though, it is imperative that they buy, because they can only afford cheaper food. A lot of times that's fast food, it's processed food, whatever. But those places where you would purchase those, those food items, whether that's a fast food restaurant or in your grocery store, they don't even have them. So not only are people in America, low-income families in America struggling because they don't even have money in the first place because of inflation, but because of the supply chain issues, they can't even get cheap food anyway.
Right.
I mean, there is no options for them under the Biden administration.
And also, too, you're trying to get jobs right now. They're cutting jobs more. So you want to get some of those jobs maybe at a fast food restaurant or just like one of those entry-level jobs. They're having to cut people now, too. And then this is affecting food, energy, and rent.
Yes.
You know who's not being affected by this stuff? President Biden and his administration.
Come on now.
People that are wealthy. Like, just think, that's what's crazy to me. Going off of your point is there's so many people that really trusted President Biden for some reason. Obviously, we tried to warn a lot of people, but they're at this point where like, I thought this person was supposed to take care of me. I thought this person was supposed to take care of, middle class, or maybe people are like lower middle class. And he's making your life worse in more ways than one. He's forcing you to do something with your body, and now he's telling you got to pay more for rent. You're not going to be able to afford your groceries.
Oh, that's another thing.
Yeah.
My rent, they have added in the last year, I think I've had about a $300 increase in my rent. That's crazy. That's crazy. And so I think about that too for people that are already penny pinching.
Yeah.
Everything is more expensive. And we're being told that by our landlord. Sorry, we can't help it with it due to inflation. We're gonna have to do a rent increase.
I know it's bad news, but it's also good news, because sometimes this is what it takes to wake people up.
Thank you.
Like, right?
Thank you.
Hit on that. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of people at the gym I used to go to in California, and those guys who were avidly against me, goodness gracious, debated me every chance they absolutely got. And then I come back and they're like, you know what? You were right.
You were right.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Can you tell us how those debates went? Well, you're just like, hey, I got a few more reps. I'll be right with you. How does that work at the gym?
It sucks. You don't get much of a workout, but you educate people's minds and you give their minds a workout, which is fine by me.
Oh, I like that.
Yes, indeed.
Wow.
I'll take it.
Is that extra? Is that like a premium membership? We'll work your mind out too. We have
Yes, indeed.
And then actually too, we have a great Fox News poll we'll show you about this. Check it out. There it is. Americans say cost increases causing hardship on their families. Look at that. Grocery prices, 70%. Gas prices, 67%. Housing costs, 53%. All this stuff that we've talked about.
Goodness.
And then another thing I do want to hit on is, you remember when the Biden administration was talking about paying illegal immigrants up to 6 figures?
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Six figures
it
and
makes
then
me irate.
Like $500,000 or something.
Yeah.
It goes to show this is once again not an America First agenda whatsoever. No. They don't care about you. They're going to pretend, they're going to tell you like all these great little buzzwords, like they're fighting misinformation.
But he's added diversity, y'all.
Right.
He's added diversity to the White House. Like that's what matters, right? I mean, look at this mess. Like none of that ended up paying off in any positive way, I don't think. Like that wasn't the main important thing. Now we have all of these price increases and inflation.
Right.
I think I saw a poll from CNN. It was real. I think CNN had a poll that was like a high percentage of people that do not approve of President Biden's handling of the economy.
Yeah, I
Did
know
you
what
see
you're
that
talking
too?
about. Yes, indeed.
That's when you know it's bad.
CNN of all places.
There was also something, and I think it might have
bad,
been Human Events Daily host Jack Posobiec posted that he had gone through, there was like data from every single state in America. I think only 3 states gave a positive approval rating to President Biden, and of course we know what those states are. Like
New York.
It's like
New York,
Cali,
California,
Oregon.
Delaware, whatever.
Delaware.
So like that's it. Every single state otherwise in the United States gave him a higher negative rating than positive.
Well, all these coastal elitists, they're not really feeling the brunt of this. It's mostly the people in the interior of the country. You talk about Kansas and Oklahoma. So it's like you wonder, is this why he's doing it? Is he a little jaded right now because middle America doesn't really vote for him? Is that why he's going, not really being proactive in trying to solve this crisis? I don't know. We will see.
Well, going off your point, Drew, it's like obviously they've messed with our minds in a lot of
big
ways.
time.
They've messed with our body, and then now when someone messes with your pocketbook, that's another way people are getting woken up.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how they're starting to like really realize now. It's just like, oh wait, like I don't have as much money in my bank account anymore because I'm paying for gas and groceries that are just skyrocketing. And then now people are starting to realize, well, they've done this, but I'm going to look back a year or two and look at what they did to me then. And hopefully this is just like spark that lights a fire with people. And you need to put people in the right position to stand up for you because it's we the people that run this stuff. And then look at someone like this that's going to tell you like, oh, it's a transitory, it's fine, it's not going to be that long. Just hold out. Remember when they told you that the pandemic wouldn't be that long? Don't trust them with this either.
To slow the spread?
15 days to
that's
slow
right.
the spread of inflation.
The
and then we're going to be at 700 days.
The far left is really good at this stuff, though, because they get you emotionally invested in like social issues, right? Like the white supremacists want to destroy you, or the xenophobes are coming to get you, or everything's a phobia, right? Like the anti-feminism movement is going to come after you, and they get people so emotionally invested in these emotional social issues, where on the side they're not even paying attention to their actual financial policies that are going to destroy your life, right? And I think a lot of people vote that way. Like they literally are so emotionally invested into these social issues, they're not even paying attention to the economic policies that are about to destroy their lives. And it's like,
question is then, is like, how do we change the conversation? How do we change the narrative so people don't put themselves in situations like this again? Because there's got to be some people, just like you said, that have to look at themselves in the mirror and be like, you know what, I voted for this, or I supported this. And
I just wonder how long it's like, how much longer we have with President Biden, because there's no way. I mean, look at how they've abandoned masks now, and they're starting to abandon the vaccine, right? Because they have midterms coming up, and so people on the left, it's convenient timing for them. They're like, this isn't working out. People are not responding well to these policies. Let's get rid of them. Well, like I just said, only 3 out of 50 states are saying that they enjoy President Biden. That's, you know, voters on the left and the right. So are they really going to keep this guy who is just decimating, you know, like just doing so bad, like keep him around till the next election? That's what I wonder, if they'll be like, let's start over. He's not doing well for the left.
Well, that's why it's effective marketing, like you've said, and we've all mentioned this. Like, what's the alternative? Some people really think the alternative is just pure evil and just like almost like Hitler incarnate. You've heard people say that on MSNBC, CNN, other mainstream outlets, and people of influence.
Yeah, but see, I would argue that pure evil is having the government steal your hard-earned money right from under you. Pure evil is telling a single mom, sorry, but there are no chicken nuggets left at the store, and also it's going to cost you $65 to fill up your tank of gas. That's pure evil. You know, saying something like cheeky and a little bit edgy to Kim Jong-un, a real dictator, is not pure evil. They have completely warped ideas of what is wrong and what is right, and that is the biggest problem with the left today.
And that's why it becomes just a moral conundrum with so many people. They're like, well, I know I don't like this, but the alternative, I'm just so gung-ho on this idea that is evil, and that I cannot be a part of it. They're not as diverse. They're homophobic. They're xenophobic, everything, all the phobias.
And there's no evidence, by the way, there is no evidence that President Trump was racist. There was no evidence that President Trump was xenophobic. There was no evidence that President Trump was homophobic. However, we have blatant evidence that President Biden does not care about people that are impoverished. He doesn't care about minorities. Look at all of the evidence that we have stacked against President Biden, but they ignore it.
Well, he tried to tell you, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black.
Right.
So.
And
you still look pretty black to me, Stephen.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, we're going to be back in 90 seconds talking about censorship.
What if I told you that this has all happened before? The riots, violence, church burning, attacks on police, destruction of private property.
My name is Sammy Steigman. I am a Holocaust survivor.
This is the reality of what happens when you have capitalism that goes to socialism.
El socialismo no funciona.
El socialismo no funciona.
TPUSA Live is about to be spicy. I mean, would you expect anything less? It's me, Alex Clark. Of course it's going to be spicy. Tune into The Spillover, my brand new podcast. Think of it like the older sister to POPlitics with a lot more conservative.
What's up, guys? My name is John Root, and every week I'm breaking down the top stories in sports and bringing you conversations you won't hear anywhere else. It's going to be a great time here on Breakaway. Welcome back to TPUSA Live. Alex Clark, Drew Hernandez, Mag Holk, Stephen Davis. I'm John Root. We got to talk about combating censorship, something that I feel like we do every single day, every single week. And a lot of conservatives, it's crazy. I know it's something that we covered the whole Joe Rogan situation weeks ago when he came out with the video. It said, well, a lot of things that were conspiracy, years ago came true, and then people got deplatformed for it. They got hated on. They lost their jobs, and it affected them mightily. But what's a couple examples of how you've been combating censorship?
Combating it? I mean, the way I combat it or whatever is just, I try to play by their stupid community guidelines on all these social media sites. I mean, that's what people say, like, well, how come POPlitics is still around? Because I avoid talking about things, using the keywords that we know that they flag. So that's the thing. And I know that I have really pissed off conservatives before in the Facebook group that I have for fans of my show, because I tell them, you cannot talk about different things that we know that Facebook flags, and it sucks. But until we have some conservatives enact some different legislation or whatever that is going to help, with this big tech problem, we don't really have another choice. Otherwise, we're just going to be kicked off everything. And I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of being on a social media site that's conservatives only, ran by and for only conservatives, because I think being in an echo chamber is boring. And you're not changing anyone's minds doing that. So I'm not like, let's just, get rid of and all conservatives leave Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Well, that's not realistic. Also, the whole purpose of my shows and what I do with Turning Point USA is to help introduce the idea of conservatism to young females. Well, I'm not going to find a lot of young females on some of these all conservative social media sites. Sorry, but they're just not there. They're going to be on Instagram posting pictures of their shoes and whatever. Like, that's where they are. So that's a huge problem I have with that. So that's how I combat it. What I've experienced in regards to censorship is I had a very controversial investigative journalist, Abigail Schreier, on, who has talked about, the transgender craze.
Those investigative journalists, man.
Yes. Yeah, you guys get it hard. So she's written a whole book and investigated over 1,000 families about transgender, this transgender ideology really coming for teen girls who are not actually experiencing gender dysphoria. So I interviewed her. She also has one of the most censored and blacklisted books on the market. Target has pulled her book down, and then when people complain, they put it back up. Amazon has hit her in their search algorithms for her book. So anyway, I had her on. Spotify removed my episode for no reason. When people started complaining about that, they put it up within a few hours and said, oh, sorry, we made a mistake. So I've experienced that before. But luckily, it hasn't been so far in my life too much more than that.
Well, I think that's what we got to do as conservatives, just excite people about wrong. Is like, hey, this is wrong. What happened to you? And what we need you to do is we need to go to Spotify.
Yeah.
Just like there's wrongs with a lot of big tech, so it's like, fight it. Don't just you're not going to sit back and be like, well, I took an L here, and hopefully we'll figure it out later.
Absolutely.
I mean, you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. And then I think a few other things that you do, I think that are really funny on POPlitics and Spillover, you come up with just different terms.
Oh, yes. We never
Jabba
say waxy.
There you go. Yeah.
We're not saying it now either, but I always say the Jabba the Hutt, the juice. I always come up with different things. The toe jam, I said one time. Made up totally ridiculous things because they're on to things like just vax or jab. They're, so I always will make stuff up, and my girls know, my followers know, conservatives and conservatives know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you just got to be creative.
Got to get creative,
It's sad that we have to do that, though.
It's disturbing.
It's 1984, here we are. But for me, I mean, I've experienced some pretty hardcore throttling on my Instagram, on especially my YouTube channel. Independently, I've gotten pretty far by myself, but not as far as I should have been, because they throttle, they kill your reach on YouTube. It really started to happen to me the most when I started posting some of the riot footage on YouTube. One of the exposés I posted was Antifa and BLM militants actually attacking multiple people, including a transgender person. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the footage of Adam Hayner getting kicked in the head like a field goal. That was my buddy. We were all there that night, and I posted the whole thing on YouTube. And it got 300K views. It was all right. But after I posted that, they just started destroying, burying everything that I could possibly post. They do it on Instagram. Twitter won't verify me, up until this point. After I send them literally hundreds of articles that are just it's just funny. They want to bury anybody that has a different opinion than they do. That seems like a vocal or intellectual threat. Doesn't matter what your skin color is. If you have the wrong politics or you say the wrong things, then they're going to throttle you. They're going to censor you. They don't want you to be seen by other people. And you have to ask, well, why? Why is that such a threat? Because they don't want other people thinking like you do.
That's it.
That's a huge part of it as well. Because once you start waking up hundreds of thousands of other people, then they lose control and power over those people as well. It's not simply what you say, and they always say the same thing. Remember when Tim was on with Jack Dorsey and Joe Rogan, like, oh, we have these hate speech policies, and we police our app because we don't want real world violence happening from hate that's being said on our platform. That's BS.
There is real world violence going on right here. It's like, here's a Drew Hernandez video of what's going on
and
here,
there's people
Jack.
on Twitter, even right now at the trucker convoy, there's literally CNN analysts calling for people to slash their tires, but Twitter doesn't do anything.
Wow.
Okay, so that's BS. That's why I say that. It's about silencing opposition. That's what they want to do. I remember during the trial, after I got off the Rittenhouse trial, this was interesting, because I kept saying rioters. I was talking about Antifa. I was testifying under oath what I saw, what I experienced. ABC News would cut the feed anytime I would say Antifa. People were sending me the clips.
What?
Oh my gosh.
I have the clips. I could show you. Anytime I would say Antifa, it cut the feed, keep going. There were some MSNBC analysts after the trial that were like, Drew Hernandez was allowed to be an eyewitness, like, because I was, and he
he was allowed,
and he used the word Antifa. It's like
they're also the same people that follow the jurors.
Exactly, but the issue is freedom of speech has to be honored, and I don't care what your politics are. Like, I will defend a leftist and what they have to say any day, because I need them. Why do I need them? Because I need someone to argue with.
It's true.
I don't want to end up in a place where it's just me and a bunch of people that agree with me, and you become like this hive mind. That's not what we want. And I think one point that I wanted to make, to go to Alex's point, is I think when we do see this stuff, when people are getting censored or throttled, I think we really do have to support them. Even if we disagree with their politics, disagree with what they stand for, I think we need to defend freedom of speech, because when someone gets like censored like that, we need to support people like that, because it's not a good thing.
I mean, something.
Are you talking? Wait a minute, though. I just want to ask Drew. Are you talking about people that are like fringy on the right that we disagree with, or leftists?
Anybody.
But see, this is what is hard for me, and I will be completely honest right here. There are people on like the fringe far right who trash me, attack me every single day. I get more hate from them than I do the far left. And when they get censored and deplatformed and things on social media, which happens often, it is my natural instinct as someone that's a free speech purist to be like, go out and be like, let's, defend them and stick up for them, because it is their right. However, it's hard for me. I am a very, I value loyalty and justice, and it feels like an injustice to myself. It feels so disloyal to go out of my way to say, like, hey, stick up for these people, when all they do is attack me and like trash me and make fun of me and whatever. And maybe I'm just like a sensitive girl in that perspective, but it's hard for me.
Yeah, and I understand, but I think the First Amendment is the First Amendment, and I'm an absolutist when it comes to the Constitution of the United States. So I can't, for me personally, I can't say like, I only defend someone's freedom of speech that I agree with, even if they try and trash me, but I don't defend someone else's that doesn't like me. That's just me. For me,
I agree with you. I just wondered if you guys deal with that, like,
of course, all the time.
Conflict. Okay, I'll give you an example who I discussed today in the episode of POPlitics that came out tonight. Michelle Malkin, who used to be a Fox personality, hates me, talks about me all the time. She was deplatformed by Airbnb, not allowed to stay in Airbnbs. And I did speak out and defend her, but the thing is like, I know she would never do the same for me, And that's the kind of stuff that like bothers me, but maybe I'm just sensitive. But I did say it was wrong, so.
No, but I think I know we're gonna come back after the commercial break. We got about 30 seconds left here, but I'm so with you when it comes to this aspect of conservatives. My biggest gripe is like, why are you talking about sports? Why are you guys talking about pop culture? It's just like, what? You just like take yourself out of the conversation and then you're just going to complain about it years later? I can't believe it went so woke. I can't believe it went so leftist. I mean, you did the same thing with social media here. You decide like, I'm just going to get myself out of the conversation. I can't believe where it is now. It's like, no, because you didn't stay there and fight. And then every single one of you guys do that. And I think that's something that conservatives got to figure out big time. We're going to keep this conversation going, and then we're going to get into the wackiest, wildest, weirdest content we found on the internet. See you in 90 seconds.
everybody, how you doing? My name is Osiga Kaku. I'm from the great state of North Carolina, and I'll see you at freedomsquare.com.
My name is Preston Para, and we'll see you at freedomsquare.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle Clare from Bolingbrook, Illinois, and I will see you at freedomsquare.com.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie. I'm from Fayetteville, Arkansas, and we'll see you at freedomsquare.com.
Hi, I'm Johnny Richardson. I'm from Prescott, Arizona, and I'll see you at freedomsquare.com.
I'm Rachel. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and you'll see me at freedomsquare.com.
I'm Soraya. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and I will see you at freedomsquare.com.
My name is Michelle DeGroot from Los Angeles, California, and I'll see you at freedomsquare.com.
Hi, my name is Emma Faye Redcan, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I will see you at freedomsquare.com.
Join us in the fight for freedom. Welcome to Freedom Square.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. Alex Clark, MAGA Hulk, Stephen Davis. Brand new TPUSA contributor, Drew Hernandez. I'm John Root. I want to keep the conversation going about censorship on social media. And I think you just hit the nail on the head when we're talking about culture. Like, we have to be involved in culture, social media, and there's going to be times where people take a hit. And it's a courageous stand. You have people like Defiant L's. I think that's one of the best conservative accounts out there. And it's just, it has the receipts for these absolutely insane leftist politicians or celebrities that said something, you know, days, months,
So they just,
years
all they do
ago.
is post screenshots
That's it.
showing like people contradicting themselves on the left.
Yeah, that feed
Or
is
on the
literally
right to anyone.
That feed is literally like a mirror.
So they suspended, but then now it's back?
Yeah, so they tweeted out, I think we got a still of that too. They're saying that they're back. Boom, I'm back. Unsuspended your account. I love that. Also too, there is a lot of times, Defiant L's, I think I said like a conservative account. I wouldn't necessarily just say it's just a conservative account. They actually call out conservatives as well. And I feel like that's what I like about this show at times. Like, we need to hold each other accountable because it's not, I know we were talking about in the commercial break, it's everybody wants this to come down to like it's a right or left issue. Like, there's fringe people here on this side, fringe people here on this side. They attack turning point.
There's so much infighting. It's so exhausting. Yeah. And I never thought that when I took this job. I never thought that it would be people on the right that gave me the most crap online, and it is. You'll experience, Drew, you'll be initiated. Insane. You'll experience that. I'm telling you, it is the most bizarre thing with your new show coming out. It is so weird.
Yeah, but we got to be able to fight it. That's what we got to do. And then I definitely want to make sure we touch on some of the stuff that you've done, Stephen, because I mean, you've been out in the streets too. Right. And the conversations that you've had as well, like the content that you shared, especially during BLM riots and during elections and everything. Like, you were someone that went out there. It's like, all I'm doing is having conversations with people, whether they agree with me or not. And like, what kind of censorship have you dealt with?
I've been shadow banned up the wazoo, and I've had a lot of videos taken down, especially when it comes to conversations with BLM and Antifa. More so BLM than Antifa, but definitely BLM, because that's their, that's the left's golden boy, BLM. So I'll go out there and have these wonderful conversations with them and expose their hypocrisy. I'll have them kind of have an aha moment. And the video will be taken down for some random, obscure reason. I'm just like, hey, are you kidding me? This is how you change the culture, but they don't want that. As y'all was saying, they don't want the truth to get out, because they know how dangerous the truth is when it goes against their narrative, especially because the truth does go against the left's narrative. So it's imperative that we keep going at it. It's imperative that we don't let up. We got to keep our feet to the pedal and keep going strong when it comes to our message.
Well, because they're the real racists.
Oh, 100%.
They're the ones that want to oppress black people.
Absolutely.
They're the ones that want to suppress black people. They're the ones that don't want a black person to think for themselves. They're the ones that don't want minorities to actually start thinking differently than what they want them to think.
Absolutely.
So when we post a freaking video that's different from the mainstream narrative, it gets taken down because they're the real oppressors.
Yeah, the left is obsessed with telling people what to think, but their biggest fear is letting people know how to think or telling them how to think.
I think that's what you guys do a great job with your content too. It's like, hey, I'm just presenting you these facts here, and then you do your own analysis. You figure it out yourself. I feel like that's why you had like Dr. Malone and Dr. McCullough. I think they did the same thing, and those were just deemed as misinformation. It's like, here's the data, here's the science, here's who I am. I'm going to some peer-reviewed studies. Now you take it and do with it what you will. So it says a lot about the people that are trying to censor us. They aren't the good guys.
Nope.
At all. But hey, What in the World Wednesday, it's one of our favorite days of the week. We got some of the wackiest, weirdest, and wildest content we found on the internet, and I'll tell you what, it's not that hard to find.
Tell me about it.
Not at all. So this first one we're going to show you is about not standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Stop me if you've heard that before.
For all people in my comments asking why I don't stand for the pledge. First of all, it says under God, and I'm a socialist witch because under God was added due to the Red Scare because communism was godless. As for the freedom and justice for all line, we are not there yet. And when the pledge was written and when the Constitution was written, we definitely did not have freedom and justice for all because their vision of the future was only cis, straight, white men.
Number one, Billie Eilish called and wants her hair back.
So did the Grinch.
They look the same. They sound the same. They're the same. Like they think what's so funny to me is that they think they're so unique and different and special, and they're just mindless drones of each other, just copycats.
Yes.
None of them think for themselves.
No.
None of them are unique or special. You know, in that way, like their ideology. Yeah. It's basic. I'm a socialist witch.
Ooh.
Is that the new Disney movie coming out?
Probably is.
The newest witch, the socialist witch.
Like, if you want to be unique and special, like, be an outspoken young Gen Z conservative.
Come on now. Speak on it.
That's unique. Like, being a socialist witch with green hair on TikTok is not unique. Sorry, it's been done before.
Want to learn how to do that? Go to YWLS.
Boom.
Oh,
Boom.
that's true. Hey, a little birdie told me tickets may be dropping pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that.
Boom.
Gentlemen, see you there.
Yes.
No, you won't. Girls only.
No, these gentlemen. We'll be there. I want to hang out with you guys.
Oh,
too.
you are?
Is that okay?
Oh.
I went last year.
Oh, you did?
Am I going to get invited again?
That's so funny.
Is there something I don't know?
I thought no guys came. I don't even
That would
remember
actually
guys
be funny
staff.
branding. Imagine like on the doors, like girls only.
Girls only, yeah.
We should do that. Keep out like a clubhouse.
Right? And we're just the greeters.
That's it.
Let us know how it is. Is it fun in there?
Tell us about it.
This next one, it's about the Give, Send, Go hacker. Check it out.
Nothing scares me. Nothing. Yes, I doxed the truckers. I did it. It was me. I hacked Give, Send, Go, baby. And I do it again.
He reminds me of that villain on The Incredibles.
Syndrome.
Like,
I got rid of Give, Send, Go.
So much anger. It's like he's acting like a cartoon character.
Oh. Why do they all have colored hair? All of them. The whole lot. They all have colored hair. They can't just leave their hair on. Just shave it off. I'm gonna keep a pair of scissors on me, or just like a pair of clippers. And just skip them. It's be fantastic.
It's very weird.
I know. I don't get it.
And it's just crazy because of what he did. It's like, yeah, I openly like hacked.
Right.
Like I did that. I doxed people.
Right.
And I'll do it again.
You're proud
it's
about
like,
it.
dude, you are a villain.
Yeah.
But those are
You
people
really are, yeah.
that are just so brainwashed into thinking like, the people that are telling us to mask up and get the vaccine, those are the good people. Prime Minister Trudeau, he's doing the right thing. He doesn't associate with violent groups.
So I wonder if the FBI is going to investigate this guy.
I wonder exactly. I doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
We'll see if that actually is.
He's
the
an
guy,
American,
so
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So American with weird hair. So good for him.
Here we go.
And this is about an activist for the alphabet people. Check it out.
Here we go. Oh.
Yep.
It's your
there
boy.
it is.
Kink 101. Is that what the caption said?
Yep.
Yeah,
that
that
right?
person is like in the Biden administration.
Yep.
What is that guy's job?
He's some type of energy or nuclear energy or something rather than the other.
I think the Secretary of Sexual Anarchy. I think they just came up with that. It's pretty incredible.
Kink 101. Was that at like a school or something? I want to know, where was that? That was at a school?
That's literally, that was out of school.
I don't know, man.
Why?
I think you got 3 credits for that class.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, but that guy's just basically, the point is he's in charge of important things in our country.
Right.
And he does these little things where he like puts people in dog collars and walks them around and wears fishnet vests and whatever.
That's
How
so
can
not
you take
appropriate
us-
for children.
No, it's not appropriate for the United States of America. I mean, goodness gracious, how are you in charge of anything? I mean, you lost all credibility when you put someone like that in charge of
We could have done lookalikes too, because you guys watch Toy Story.
Mhm.
You know Sid that just,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
absolutely just manipulates the toys? That actually is him grown up.
Yeah, that guy is a freak of the week.
That's disturbing, dude.
And then this one is a little bitty leftist that is trying to attack someone for being maskless. Check it out.
I'm just gonna say, if I see any of you little fricks at school without a mask on, be prepared to get decked in the mouth.
You little frick. I'm going to come get you, darn it.
Dude, remember whenever, you guys, and I was a little bit too young, but I at least understood that it was happening. I don't know what year you graduated high school. You're older than me. But remember when like there used to be like Crips and the Bloods, and now we just have these people on TikTok making like TikTok videos like, I'm going to punch you. Like, that's really scary.
Like MySpace and all that?
Yes, like this is like, they think they're so threatening, like being on their keyboards. Yeah, that's like nothing. That is nothing.
Everybody that goes maskless, you are now a little frick. Congratulations. You're a part of that exclusive group.
And it's funny because they're like, oh, bullying and harassment.
Right.
You say anything against a gay person or anything, it's like, oh, the world's going to end. But you could go on TikTok and threaten people that don't want to wear a mask at school, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what
Good
bums
luck.
me out is like now with a platform like TikTok is like you have so many people that are just like, all right, I can say whatever on here and it can go viral, and then they think because of the views and because of these likes and everything that like they're actually doing something important, especially like these kids that are younger.
It's very sad.
Just little fricks.
All the schools are dropping the mask mandates, so you know, good luck. I guess she can wear a mask for the rest of her life. You know, be my guest.
She might become a little frick herself.
Yeah. It's true.
All right, this one is about, unfortunately, a trans 5-year-old.
TikTok help. How do I teach my trans 5-year-old about hormones? Like, I'm not talking about putting her on hormones or anything. She's just asking when she'll get boobs. And I have no idea how to explain that to a child.
Well, you say you're not
Yeah.
a girl, so
You won't have those.
yeah.
I'm so confused by that, and that's really scary. That videos like that are scary. She's literally asking for help of how to have a conversation that shouldn't be had in the first place. That's scary. I'm sorry, that's scary. Some parents shouldn't be parents.
But that's what it's tough right now too. Is there's obviously like parents parent. That's it. Like not board members at schools or the government at all. But there are some parents that are very, very lost. And that might even be worse than some school boards out there. But I feel like that's why there's got to be a way where we start interacting with people like that to make sure they have the tools and the resources to like let these kids just be kids. And
I'll
like,
never forget, I watched this documentary all about trans kids on HBO.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called, but it's still on there. And they followed these families with trans children for 7 years.
Oh, yeah.
So from when they were very little, like 4 or 5 years old, saying I'm trans, to being, you know, preteen teenagers and how they turn out. Well, one of them was a little boy who said that he wanted to be a girl, and then literally within the next like 2 years, it was a phase, and he just started acting like his biological gender, and the parents regretted it and said, we feel so terrible and we're so scared of what, you know, could happen if we would have let them keep going with this. And it's like, you know, what will happen to that mom and her kid? You never know. They could change their mind. So what she's probably going to end up doing is telling that 5-year-old, oh, well, if you want to, you know, get breasts one day, we can give you these vitamins, or we can give you this medicine, and then eventually you can get that if you want to. And so that's, you know, that kid is probably going to be like 8 years old asking for hormones essentially. And that's why these kids are getting younger and younger asking for these life altering, you know, drugs. And I really recommend reading Abigail Schreier's book, The Transgender Craze, Seducing Our Daughters, about that, of all these families and detransitioners who never get spotlighted in the media.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot, and they speak out and they talk about their experiences and how it was the worst decision they could ever make. But they either get shouted down or they don't even get any type of airtime whatsoever.
No, what's crazy is that Abigail Schreier told me on that episode of The Spillover with her, it was episode 2, she said that these detransitioners will write letters to the editor of major news organizations, New York Times, all these people, and they get ignored trying to warn people about the, how wrong, they could be going down this path to transition. They might regret it.
Unbelievable.
Really scary.
Dehumanizing. I was a youth pastor for like 5 years, so dealing with Gen Z directly with this stuff was very interesting. One of the things that I did notice was like being gay, LGBTQ, it's like more of a trend. A lot of these kids,
it's a popularity thing.
A lot of these kids like don't even understand. Like they could become the popular kid overnight on TikTok by just coming out of the closet and they don't even know what it means. So I just think it's dangerous, and I think a lot of maybe boomer, Gen X parents don't really understand that, because you're like, hey, your kid's going through a phase, and remember when you were in high school, all the phases you went through, you obviously don't have them now. I don't know, maybe Johnny Root's still the same, but a lot of this stuff is a lot of this stuff is a phase, and these kids don't know what they're doing, and they're going to do some serious damage to their bodies, reconstructive surgery, and then totally regret it years down the line.
And then we're going to be back for one last thing, talking to this guy, brand new TPUSA contributor. See you in 3 minutes.
You have to ask the question, how is the most heavily funded tribe have the poorest population?
Listen to me. My country is very because everything problem here. Don't have petroleum for bus and Cuban, for car, for life, for nothing.
And it sucks. Socialism sucks. There's no other way you can describe it.
Do you like guns? Do you like ammo? Do you like suppressors? Do you like freedom? Do you love America? Do you like baseball? Do you like rifles? Do you like 9mm? Do you like pistols? Join me, Paige Rue, every week on Reloaded.
Good ranchers, straight from the American farm. 100% American meat, 100% of the time. Delivered straight to your door.
Wait, are those my Good Rancher steaks? I'll be taking these.
Claim your 10 free bistro fillets with your next order with promo code TPUSA Live at goodranchers.com.
This is your brain. This is your brain on socialism. Any questions?
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. We got Alex Clark, MAGA Hulk, Stephen Davis, brand new TPUSA contributor, Drew Hernandez. And before we get into you being the brand new contributor, got a brand new show. You were asking, have I changed, since I was younger?
Well, I just assumed you were born this way, Johnny. That's a compliment.
I change every day, I'll tell you that. I haven't been wearing the same stuff since junior high, but I used to rock double XL Jordan T-shirts.
Oh, yeah.
Basketball shorts.
Oh my gosh, you're one of those?
Oh yeah, I was definitely that guy, and I had my hair like buzzed.
Wow.
For the majority of my life.
No perfect hair then, huh?
Look at me now.
Wow.
So yeah, I've changed, and also kids do change. So like allow them to just kind of, do their thing. And a quick reminder: there's 2 genders, male, female. All right. So now we got a brand new TPUSA contributor, Drew Hernandez. Tell us first off about the leading up to announcing that you're going to be joining Turning Point USA. You got a show with us that's coming out. What was that process like? And tell us about the response from everybody.
So the past few months, we've been in development with this new show called Frontlines. It's kind of like the continuation of my work, just on the Turning Point platform, and a collaboration between us, because I think Turning Point really wants to go down this direction of independent journalism, breaking stories. I mean, Jack Posobiec is already doing an amazing job, but what's going to be different with my show is actually doing collaborations with independent journalists, not only across the nation, but worldwide as well. I got buddies in Australia, people even in the Ukraine right now that I'm texting. Wow. Like it's real different to have people on the ground. And I confess this myself. Sometimes when I'm doing my podcast and I'm reading an article, I get it wrong because I wasn't there. You know, I don't have the full details. It's just whatever's in this article. So it's so essential to have people actually on the ground at these events, reporting what's actually happening, what's going down. And part of the inspiration for that for me was I kind of just fell into this whole thing. After the death of George Floyd, when the riots started in California, when I was living there at the time, they were rioting in Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, Santa Monica, and you had CNN trying to act like it wasn't actually happening, like it was fiery but mostly peaceful, all that garbage, trying to shift the narrative that it wasn't actually as bad as it really was. And I just decided to just take my phone and go start recording, and it just kind of led to this, and that's kind of the art of what I want to continue. Obviously, I'll be doing the daily commentary, breaking down the daily news, trending news, and all that, but I think the heart of this show is going to be the continuation of having on-the-ground reporters reporting back to me, and I think it's going to be great for Turning Point, because I think we really should go down this direction where we have the credibility to do it now, and we have the ability to continue to break news, and we become a trusted source of information, and I think that's going to be great for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been building here. I mean, I feel like this show has been great. I mean, tomorrow we have our 100th episode of this here. I mean, it's so exciting that we are able to just give people the tools, the resources, and most importantly, the truth every single day. And we're so glad that you're here. And there's a lot of very exciting stuff happening, people. Like the way the show is evolving, Turning Point's evolving, we're growing a ton, and it's absolutely incredible to have you on board. But tell us a little bit more about the response from people, because I know we were stoked.
So
like we're
excited.
in the contributor chat, and we're just like,
I mean, I really feel like just the, true journalism in America is resting on the shoulders of citizen journalists. We cannot count on mainstream media to give us the truth anymore. And so what you are doing, Drew, is just imperative to the integrity of this country and changing people's minds. So I'm so excited for this show.
Yeah, and I think the response has been pretty great. Obviously, there's always going to be haters, like we were talking about earlier. But I think people are really going to... I've always been the type of person that's like, I don't really have to talk about what I'm going to do or what I do. I just do. And then you can judge it for yourself. And if the brand and the product and the work is just absolutely, it's hard to argue with, then you just kind of look like an idiot if you're trying to come against me. And that's how I've lived my life. I put everything in God's hands. The only reason I'm here right now is because of God. I could tell you guys some crazy stories. I was telling you some crazy stories the other day about being in Portland and stuff.
Insane.
But that's just kind of where my head's at right now. And I just really want people to get on the wavelength of just understanding of, we put out a press release. I wrote an op-ed for Turning Point earlier, and I said in it that, right now we don't have reporters, we have activists, we don't have journalists, we have propagandists, and that's happening across the board, whether left or right. People just want to know what happened, why it happened, what exactly happened, and I could just choose for myself. I can form my own opinion. And it's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to commentate. That's always been a part of the news, but that isn't news. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's when you start getting into the lane of propaganda, and it's not our job as members of the media to form a narrative. We don't get to do that. And if you do start doing that, then you're a propagandist.
And then
just communicate the truth.
And then it's coming out 2/22/22.
Yep.
Right?
That's this upcoming Tuesday.
Drew Hernandez coming out Tuesday. We will see you guys tomorrow. Dear Socialism coming up next.
Welcome to our first ever political correctness and inclusivity training. First off, safety. Just want to make sure that everyone here is jabbed, right? Just kidding, none of my business. So I'm Dylan, I'm your HR rep. A little bit about me. I'm a white man, and I'm so sorry if that makes any of you uncomfortable. On to the first order of business today. We're going to be talking about diversity. And Josh, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Donde está la biblioteca? I'm from Colorado. I learned that from Dora.
Okay, second order of business. This is a mental health friendly workplace. Yes, Alex.
If we're really a mental health friendly workplace, what are we doing about the suicide rate of the birds? Because I saw 2 dead birds in the parking lot yesterday.
Alex, shut up.
Yeah, there's been a really big disregard for the bird lives ever since people in the office started sharing the birds are not real meme. Birds are definitely real. The government's putting chips in their brain, which is making them self-destruct and kill themselves, and we have to be talking about the real issues, or what are we doing here at all? Bird lives matter.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
That's what BLM stands for. That's not what it stands for.
She brings this up every time.
Why is Mitchell in a Pope costume?
Why are the snacks always feel like they don't
I think this went really well. All in all, this is a great place to work, and we're becoming more politically correct every single day.
I've never seen the world be more complicated than it is today. I keep hearing people say that socialism is the answer. I'm a good person. I want to help people solve inequality and stop racism. Is socialism the answer? Dear Socialism, I hear you are the answer to life's problems, the solution to inequity, poverty, and greedy corporations. I'm told the only way to experience true equality is by dismantling the oppressive colonial history of capitalism and ushering in your promised utopia. But there's 2 sides to every story. I've read stories, though, from Venezuela. People eat trash to survive. Does socialism deprive citizens access to the resources they need? Government leaders imprison voices of freedom? Because I've read stories from Cuba, where prison is the inevitable consequence for speaking freely. Are elections rigged, ensuring dictators remain in power at the demise of democracy? Because I've read stories from the Soviet Union, where the people were robbed of their voice. Socialism. If you're so great, wouldn't any place that rejects you be in ruins? Does your promise really deliver the perfect society? Let's find out. Florida has quickly gained a reputation of being one of America's freest places today. From sandy beaches to Alligator Alley and even the nation's oldest city and launch pads to space, this unique state boasts liberty-loving people who will fight hard for this land they love.
I'm Ed Zeman. I'm the chairman of Zeman Homes and Neighborhoods. We own and operate about 50 mobile home parks and RV parks throughout mainly the eastern half of the country.
With this property in particular being in Florida and dealing with COVID-19 and all of the rules that come along with that, knowing what you know now, do you think your family would have started your business in a blue state or in a conservative area like Florida here?
Oh, absolutely in Florida. I mean, we choose not to do any more business in Illinois.
How different would this be if a socialist was running your company?
Oh, we had a joke, and somebody in our organization said, what if AOC ran this property? Well, let's just take two specific fundamental things that she would probably do. Number one is pay everybody the same, right? Because everybody wants to be treated equally according to socialism. Now, if that were to happen, of course, Kylie's going to be thrilled that she's getting 50 grand to be a young person starting out. And of course, Allison, who's been here for 27 years, would probably leave immediately because she makes much more than 50 grand. Yeah. So what happens? I'd have to replace the GM with somebody that makes 50 grand. Probably inexperienced, not know how to deal with customers, not knowing how to handle maintenance issues, etc. So what would that do to this property? Probably be maintained much less nice, the customers would not be happy, and it would slowly start to degenerate. I think within 3 years, if AOC ran this and instituted socialist policies, this place would be a slum. Nobody would want to come here. But I'll tell you one thing, AOC would probably have the nicest lot in the property and probably have her lot beautiful. That's just the way socialism works, so it would be an absolute nightmare.
You get to work in the heart of what capitalism is all about every day. What do you wish young Americans knew about what capitalism actually is versus what they learn about on their college campuses?
Well, capitalism is freedom. Socialism is prison. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, you have the freedom with capitalism to succeed. You also have a good chance of failing, but that's just life. And I would rather have unequal blessing than a shared misery, and that's what socialism is. Everybody's miserable, except for the very few government officials that get to live like kings and control what the populace does and gets to dictate every portion of her life. So, to me, it's slavery versus freedom. It's as simple as that.
Florida is home to countless patriots who long for the American dream. Just 90 miles away is the socialist utopia of Cuba, where everyone flees to get here. Floridians get it. Socialism sucks. They aren't afraid to embrace liberty over tyranny, and they're willing to share it with the world. Tennessee, the volunteer state, a state rooted in love of country. It was founded upon and continues to live by the motto, America at its best. Tennesseans are rooted in American history, celebrating the inspiring figures, heroic moments, and great tragedies of the past, while also continuing to drive us forward. From the Great Smoky Mountains to downtown Nashville, there is something beautifully unique about this land of liberty.
My name is Kylie Jean Tannehill. I live here in Franklin, Tennessee, and I came actually from the West Coast. Nashville is a creative city where people come to pursue their dreams. I love the state of Tennessee. There's no other place I'd rather be.
As a millennial, how do you respond knowing that the vast majority of your generation is embracing socialism as the next big thing, as the future, and what we should be progressing toward?
I think so many young Americans are actually attracted to the idea of free. And they think that with socialism, it becomes free things for them. They think that their finances are going to be handed to them. They're relying on government, but what they don't realize is nothing is actually ever free. So I honestly think that they don't actually know what they're advocating for at all.
How do we counter that? How do you and I approach our peers and explain what socialism would actually lead to versus what they're being told on their college campuses?
I think the number one thing, if somebody is leaning to advocate socialism, then they're gonna have to start paying for other people's things. I think they need to actually feel the pain of it themselves. And so literally, what would that look like if somebody was really into socialism and they started paying for everybody else's things, no strings attached?
What do you wish young socialists in places like California and Washington where you lived could know about Tennessee and what's working here?
Oh, okay. I wish that young people who live in California and Washington, I wish they knew the heart of patriotism. I wish they knew that there's actually a joy and a pride that comes with loving your country. There's no other place like the United States of America. There isn't a place where you can literally build an American dream. You can come with nothing, and if you have hard work and you have drive and you have purpose and vision in front of you, you can actually make something happen. We're the most diverse nation in the world. There's a reason that people are drawn to America. It's because of the life and the quality of life that you can have here. And so my heart is that I wish people had pride for nation.
Governor Bill Lee has reminded America that Tennessee is open for business, even in the time of expected lockdowns. This state thrives because of private industry and the freedom each resident has to make their own choices and develop their own thriving businesses. Arizona is a state that still embodies the spirit of the wild American West. The 5 C's run Arizona's mostly agricultural economy: copper, cattle, cotton, citrus, and climate. From the depths of the Grand Canyon to its snow-capped mountain peaks, Arizona is a place of immense natural beauty, attracting new residents from all over the world. Phoenix is actually the fastest growing city in America and has quickly become the nation's 5th largest city by population. As Arizona grows, it remains true, though, to its diverse roots of its tribal nations, business leaders, and cowboys alike.
So I'm Sina Kerr. I'm a wife, grandmother, dairy farmer, and a state legislator. I serve in the state Senate.
Tell me about how your career transformed, not just from being here working in agriculture, but then going to our state Senate here in Arizona.
I started to realize we need more elected officials on the other side of that desk that really understand what it means to own a business, to be in agriculture, that we know firsthand what the challenges are and can be at the table to find solutions.
What about socialism is so specifically bad for Arizona and for America?
Socialism stifles those personal dreams and goals that we have as people. And clearly it doesn't work. And no matter what form it takes, people have tried to say, well, this type of socialism will work, or this type. It doesn't. When government grows, it sucks the life out of liberty and prosperity. It just doesn't work.
Why do you believe it's so important to preserve freedom and cast out socialism into the next generation?
Freedom is everything. Freedom allows us to utilize and to reach our greatest potential, our God-given potential as humanity, and allows us to dream big dreams, to set goals, to be able to be who and what we want to be. So important.
Even as thousands of Americans migrate to Arizona, the state has consistently remained true to its unique identity. Arizona is leading the way for business and culture in 2021, and doing so with the intentional effort to keep big government out of its citizens' lives. America will never fall victim to your alluring promises. We see the dystopian reality you are trying to hide. America was and remains the land of the free, a land of hope and fortune. America will always stand for liberty over false security, opportunity over outcome, and democracy over dictatorships. American freedom will prevail. We reject your enticing deception because we know the truth. Socialism, you are not the answer to our human struggles. You are not the utopia you claim to be. You continue to fight to change our society as we know it, but we aren't done fighting back either. Dear socialism, no thank you.
How much does the earth cost? I'm gonna buy the entire earth.
Hey there, it's John Root. Stick around because coming up next on TPUSA Live, Alex Clark brings you a brand new episode of POPlitics covering the tyranny in Canada, Kanye West and Julia Fox call it quits, Oscar hosts are announced, and so much more pop culture without the propaganda. Next on POPlitics.
So this is heaven?
Technically, this is Heaven's cafeteria. What can I get you?
What do you have?
We have everything. It's heaven.
Let me get a Dr. Pepper.
Will Mr. Pibb work? Sir?
That's how you know you're actually in the bad place. The Canadian government is now freezing the bank accounts of truckers who are protesting mandates. Could something like this happen in America? I have an answer. My thoughts on Julia Fox and Kanye West finally breaking up, and happy joy! Wanda Sykes, Amy Schumer, and Regina Hall are hosting the Oscars. I'm Alex Clark, and this is POPlitics. What is the Emergency Act in Canada, and can it happen in America? First of all, dictator Justin Trudeau just announced that the Canadian government will be freezing bank accounts of the truckers protesting and anyone's bank account who donates to the truckers on the basis of suspicion without a court order. This is the Chinese-style social credit system being adopted by Canada. The ability for the government to shut you out of society if you dissent.
The government is issuing an order with immediate effect under the Emergencies Act, authorizing Canadian financial institutions to temporarily cease providing financial services where the institution suspects that an account is being used to further the illegal blockades and occupations. This order covers both personal and corporate accounts. Third, we are directing Canadian financial institutions to review their relationships with anyone involved in the illegal blockades and report to the RCMP or CSIS. As of today, a bank or other financial service provider will be able to immediately freeze or suspend an account without a court order.
Within Canada, there are definitely groups speaking out against this. The Canadian Civil Liberties Association is one, and they tweeted, "The federal government has not met the threshold necessary to invoke the Emergencies Act. Governments regularly deal with difficult situations and do so using powers granted to them by democratically elected representatives. Emergency legislation should not be normalized. It threatens our democracy and our civil liberties." The thing is, there's an easier way to deal with this situation. The Canadian government could just walk back unscientific mandates.
No way, Jose!
People today forget that dictators don't start with killing people right out the gate. They insidiously take time to build a case against members of society. Justin Trudeau is extremely dangerous, but when Canadians question the extremist actions, they're told, no, he's not dangerous. He just supports diversity and inclusivity and rainbows. Don't be a bigot.
Don't you want to know the truth?
I mean, the question is, what will Justin Trudeau do to the truckers if they still won't give up or give in even after their bank accounts are frozen? Someone is gonna have to move them, physically.
Move, honk honk, pardon me.
And who's to say that even if these protesters do move, that their banks and everything will just go back to normal? I have a feeling the punishment for what they've done will be a lot more complicated than that.
This is straight up communism, and I'm Stalin.
Now, can what is happening in Canada happen to us in America? If the government doesn't like our beliefs, can they freeze our bank accounts and excommunicate us from society? Yes, it's already happening.
Help! Fire! Call the fire!
Just this week, MyPillow founder Mike Lindell has been completely debanked. He was served papers saying his bank is shutting down his account, all because he questioned the validity of the election.
All right, put the money in the bag. Put it in!
You're facing the wrong way, sir.
All right, give me the money!
Whether you like someone or not, that's an unbelievable overreach of power. If it can happen to him, it can happen to you. Michelle Malkin, who is someone I do not like personally or politically, is banned from using Airbnb because they disagree with her political views. And conservative leaders aren't doing anything to stop it. The point is, we've already entered scary territory. This is why people in communist countries don't keep their money in banks. They keep it under their mattresses.
Money, please! My money.
Our political leaders in America should punish banks that do this. Don't Canada our America. Use laws, regulations, fines, whatever it takes, and place restrictions on agencies from doing it. By the way, I'm assuming the US will take in as many Canadian trucker refugees as needed. With our supply chain issues, truckers will be a strategic asset that the United States is in need of, are they not?
You got me there. Right. So
Kanye and Julia Fox broke up. Their relationship was quicker than Kim's first marriage.
Wow. I love it. It's great.
She came out with a statement and said she's not upset at all, she's a hustler, which was kind of odd because she swore up and down she wasn't a gold digger.
You expect me to believe all this?
Anyways, literally hours after they announced their breakup, Kanye was threatening to beat up Pete Davidson and sending trucks full of flowers to Kim Kardashian, saying that he wants his family back.
Gay fish. Now I know that I'm a gay fish. Gay fish. Gay fish, yo.
Somehow, Kanye is simultaneously the most annoying person in the world and the most beloved. Anyways, one thing we can definitely agree on is Julia Fox sucks and we hate her.
We just say positive, lovely, divine, universal words.
Get ready for a real knee slapper this year at the Oscars. The Academy has lined up 3 of the funniest women in comedy to host, and it's gonna be off the charts. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes, and Regina Hall.
And that is so unusual for that crispness of expression.
The Oscars really saw their ratings last year and said, how can we make them even lower? Forced diversity, that's what. What do 3 women plus 2 black women plus 1 gay woman plus 1 white woman who looks like her uncle get you? The 2022 Oscars.
You know what? I'm gonna call the police.
Like this episode to support the truckers in Canada. Discuss in the comments what you think will happen next if the protesters still don't move even after their bank accounts are frozen. Share this episode to your Instagram story so people understand that what is happening in Canada is already happening here in the United States. And slap that save button like your mama slapped you when you acted up in church. We're back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. It's pop culture without the propaganda every single day. I'm Alex Clark, and this is POPlitics. Support POPlitics, the first ever conservative pop culture daily show, by subscribing to our channel, turning on notifications, and of course, hitting the thumbs up. Also, our main home is on Instagram. Seriously, just trust me, that's when the real magic happens. Follow us there at POPlitics.